All right, welcome back to another full edition of The Wrestler's Dozen. I am Randy Isbell. This is
David Diefenberg.
And we got a tough one this week. We had an easy time narrowing down the list, but now to order that is going to be really difficult. So I'm going to need your guys' help in the comments below because we're going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. This week we are looking at the wrestlers that jumped ship in the Monday Night Wars, and we're just going to rank them as far as how influential they were for the new brand that they went to, how big of an impact that they had. So we're only looking at that 3 to 4 year period of the Monday Night Wars. So if you jump ship after WCW is done, Rey Mysterio
Does not count.
does not count. I'm trying to think of others. He was the big one. Booker T
Scott Steiner.
does not count. Oh, he wouldn't have
That
counted
version,
anyways.
at least.
He wouldn't. But actually, Scott Steiner's a good one. He doesn't count. He was, WWF for a while. Goes to WCW. He doesn't count because he had moved before the Monday Night Wars. Also counts for Hogan and Savage.
Mall of America and on.
Yeah, we're looking at the very first episode of Nitro until the end of WCW. That's I think that's a decent enough build, which I actually think is like 5 years.
I think 01. 95 to 01.
Yeah. All right. So let's just start with the guy that started it all, and that's Lex Luger. Was the first big surprise, I think, too, as he shows up just to stand there.
Yeah.
At first. But, nobody in WWF knew it was happening. It wasn't... it was more of a shock, I think, to that company than it was to the fans, which was pretty cool.
I don't even think they told the wrestlers about it because I think Sting's reaction was genuine. Like, what in the hell are you doing here?
Which is even better.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go up high in the list, not only because he was the first to really do it. He had a pretty decent run in WCW for a few years. Obviously, in a lot of these other lists we're going to have, we talk about Luger's first run in WCW and NWA and stuff, but he had quite the run.
Yeah, because one of the best Nitro moments to me still, as awful as the match is, when he beat Hogan on Nitro. Granted, he lost the belt 5 days later again, but how can I say belt? WWE talk. Championship.
Yeah, they're not gonna hold that over.
Yeah, but that was just an awesome moment in that time period. So.
All right, so we're going in no particular order other than Luger. I just wanted to start with him. Let's go with the Big Show next.
Paul Wight.
Yeah, that's Paul Wight.
Yeah.
The Giant, as he was in WCW, shows up at the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yep.
I don't know how they would have snuck him under the ring during the taping.
They did, I guess. I guess he was in a huge crate while they were setting
up. Well, maybe they're setting up the steel cage. Maybe they would have had a crate. Those are always the interesting things for me. It's like some of them were going to hang out under the ring for the whole time. There's just no thing. There's no way to do it. Others, obviously, they've snuck down. Those kind of things I always want to hear about.
Yeah.
Had a good run. Fucking still wrestling.
Yeah.
Off and on. Crazy body shape. But as far as Monday Night Wars go, I don't think he changed the landscape too much.
They had the potential, that's for sure.
Yes.
It was a huge free agent signing because Bischoff knew he was leaving, so they made him pretty much a fat piece of crap and showed up with a huge impact. Then he had a match with Austin on Raw, which could have been built forever, and then he turned into a fat piece of crap again, and pretty much, I think it was the 01 Rumble. He made a surprise return because he was supposed to lose weight and still didn't do much, but yeah.
Fantastic career, great guy.
Yes.
On this list, he's going to be low, but I think his big moments happened well after the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah.
Here's one that's going to be really, really hard to rank. Bret the Hitman Hart, one of the best wrestlers on this entire list, did absolute...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Crap. I'll bleep that out. I'm trying to be nice. Bret Hart did not do anything good.
Manure.
In WCW. From starting as the special enforcer dude at Starrcade just so they could do their version of the Montreal Screwjob, which got screwed over because the ref did not count fast and whatever that was, to a mediocre run with NWO And then right as I think he finally got things going again, obviously, the passing of Owen Hart, messed things up again. And then Goldberg kicked him in the head and ended his career.
Hard.
It was a rough couple years for Bret.
He also wrestled Will Sasso on Nitro. That was a good one for the TV title. And I remember watching that match thinking, oh, he's going to wrestle Will Sasso. Something's going to happen big. No, it was just like 8 or 9 minutes of Bret working him over and beating him. Cool. Like the biggest impact was him leaving WWF at the time, and then he was the guy. Which was even looking back, it's just weird seeing him on Nitro shows. Like even if he would have changed his look a tiny bit, but it was just pretty much WWF for years. Now he's on here. That's just weird. Yeah, and I think the fans treated it as such.
They didn't know. I don't think WCW knew how to book him.
Yeah.
Bret Hart wasn't fully into it. A lot of things went down for that guy.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put these two out there at the same time. They basically had the same run. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash obviously came over as the outsiders, really started the NWO movement. Again, like Lex Luger, they played it off fantastically as, WWE is invading us. How terrible. And then WWE sued them and they went, no, they're just old wrestling dudes invading us. We never said WWE. What are you talking about? They're going to be way up on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just because of creating the NWO, but at least for Kevin Nash, his singles run was fantastic in the mid-90s. I know a lot of people like to crap on him because he became the booker and then booked himself to beat Goldberg. And if I was the booker, I would book myself to beat Goldberg.
Yeah, just listen to the crowd, though.
And yes, it used a cattle prod. I think Scott Hall might drop down a little bit for me just for his personal demons.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I had excellent timing in my wrestling life then because I forgot Nitro was on. I'd watched it on occasion, and I'd turn it on and see Mike Enos and I can't remember the other guy. Then Scott Hall walks through the crowd. I'm like, oh, this is something different. And because we lived on the West Coast, so there wasn't a Monday Night War for us. It was Nitro from 6 to 8, then Raw from 9 to 11, which I watched the next morning because I was a good kid and went to bed by 10.
Yeah, me too, Mom.
Yes. For the most part.
Yeah, unless you had like a dish or something. We didn't really have Monday Night Wars. I know I'd go spend the night at my friend Chase's house. He was all in on WCW. His dad was all in on WWF, and I'd go back and forth.
Yeah, I watched them all.
I go just hang out with his dad. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You're watching this show, and this is a better segment than what's in there at the moment."
Also, yeah, like even when Nash showed up, couldn't believe that, even though his word definitions are a little off. His play wasn't the adjective on that, but it started a great run, and I still never forget those times. Even I don't get tired of the NWO's ascension. I got tired of the 28 years of them beating everybody up.
Yeah,
but
and 900 people in the NWO. I get what Bischoff says now on his podcast, how he wanted to create an NWO brand and a WCW brand, and you kind of see that with the Wolfpack and stuff. But I think it took too long.
Yeah.
For them to really click in there. But that's fantasy booking 20 years later. And I'm not going to say I'm smarter than Bischoff. So let's go to another one, kind of like Bret Hart and the Big Show over here, that is going to be really hard to rank because I think his peak came well after the Attitude Era. But that's Chris Jericho, who wasn't used very well, I don't think, in WCW. As he says, he did everything he could to get himself over. I loved his rivalry with Goldberg, even though Goldberg was not part of it at all. I loved every second of that as a kid, and going back and watching it, it's fantastic. I love that. His list of holds and stuff.
Armbar.
And then you see him, and you go to WWE, and it's going to be this big change. And he goes out and he debuts against The Rock, and it's going to be fantastic. And then it's not fantastic.
Hardcore Harley in China, here we come.
Yeah, and then he's teaming with China and for the Intercontinental title, and it kind of is there for a while.
Yeah.
Before he finally was able to get his footing. So again, as far as this list goes, he's going to be really tough. As far as my all-time favorite wrestlers goes, he's near the top.
Yeah, top 3 for me easily. Yeah, like even this was before he jumped ship in WCW. I believe it's Fall Brawl or Halloween Havoc 98 for this Goldberg feud. he's going through the back like Goldberg's entrance, and then he ends up in the parking lot, and he can't find his way to the ring. It's just hysterical, so find that. But yeah, he debuted on my birthday, and I still think he did it on purpose. And the debut was awesome. Every time I watch it, I still get the goosebumps for it. But like you said, the start was awesome, and then he's got to wear some lifts on his shoes because he's feuding with China and Hardcore Holly for the IC title. And that's not Jericho. I know he had the little feud with Triple H where he had the title one that got taken back in that time, and you thought that was going to be it. But then the Triple H years of dominance, I think, might have started with Jericho because, of course, Triple H won that feud.
Yeah. It's going to be tough to rank him.
Yes.
Another one tough to rank because it was just a one-moment thing, and that's Medusa. Alundra Blaze in the WWF was a fantastic female wrestler ahead of her time in the WWF. I know she had wrestled in WCW before. Comes back as Medusa, drops the women's title in the bin, which is where it really belonged at this time. WWE wasn't using it. But after that, I mean, she was just kind of there. I just don't think they ever created a women's division well enough around her.
No.
I know Jacqueline came a little later. I don't know if those two ever actually wrestled. Maybe it was after Medusa was done.
No, she wrestled Disco Inferno.
Yeah, right? So maybe that was even, they didn't cross paths, but there was just nobody else around her. So she just kind of floundered, unfortunately.
Yeah, like when she debuted, that was like the last we saw of her for almost a couple years, I think, if I remember right. But she came with Shane Douglas when he popped over, and she had bought some extra parts for her body to flaunt around, and I just remember she took
hair extensions, Mom.
Yes,
hair extensions.
Yes, and there was like a scaffold match, and she took a bump from near the top of it, and they had the camera terrible, and the foam pad she landed on was obvious. And I cracked up hysterically watching that because we were one of the 7 people who ordered that pay-per-view at the time. Might have been New Blood Rising or something.
All right, so now let's go to the Big Boss Man. Kind of an underrated person that moved over. Mid-Carter in WWF at the time. I am blanking on the name he used in WCW.
Guardian Angel.
No, after that.
Big Bubba Rogers.
Big Bubba Rogers, thank you. If you ever go back, when the network first became a thing, I told myself, I guess it was a little bit, whenever they started putting Nitros on there, I was like, I'm going to go back and just watch Nitro. From episode 1, and then watch the pay-per-views as I go. Because, again, I was more of a WWF guy. Watched WCW sometimes when I went to friends' houses, and sometimes I'd remember to turn it on. Just because, hell, it's 6 hours of wrestling at this point.
Yeah.
Because we could watch it back-to-back. But I'd missed a lot, so I wanted to do it. You go back and watch the beginning of Nitro, Big Bubba Rogers is like on the opening match every week. I don't know why. I joined the NWO and stuff. Not the biggest impact, but he's underrated.
I think so too. I call him the original member of the Shield with his outfit when he came back over. But he was always.
Oh yeah.
He was always in Vince's. He was on the corporation, and he was always Vince's guy. And even though
that was, I was gonna say that he came back, but it was still during the Attitude Era.
Yeah, it was.
So it was still during the wars that he went back.
He lost 14 times at Survivor Series in that tournament, and he didn't lose anything because there was the Big Boss Man. Mm-hmm. And I guess he was the one who caused the worst chair shot in the world on Steve Austin because he forgot to be out there.
Fantastic angle with the Big Show. And
I thought it was great.
A terrible angle with Al Snow. Also got hung at WrestleMania. I forgot that was still during the Attitude Era. So he did. I was going to say we have a couple that jumped back and forth.
As bad as those angles were, he was all in on them. And just him telling Big Show he's a stupid bastard because his daddy's dead. He was.
He might actually go higher on my list now. Yeah. I forgot that was still during the time period. He is one of the few that went back and forth.
Yeah.
Let's go to another one. Let's just skip ahead to this. Xbar jumped back and forth. Was Six Pac or whatever he was in WCW for a while. Joined the NWO as the 6th member. That's where I'm pretty sure they got the name. Or I'm making that up.
It is.
Was an okay talent in WCW for a while. Was really the light heavy or the cruiserweight member of the NWO, and he had some fantastic matches in WCW.
Yeah.
Obviously, kind of like Scott Hall, had his own personal issues, wasn't really pushed that much. Gets let go at WCW, comes back and joins DX, and is one of the only members that have been in both of those groups.
I believe so, like the original incarnations at least. Mm-hmm. The WWE incarnations don't count.
Right. So Shawn Michaels, I mean, he was on the NWO for like 2 weeks.
And Booker T.
Yeah, Booker T. Was Booker T ever NWO though?
And the WWE version he was, I think.
Oh yeah, he got super. That's what it was. But he wasn't DX. So he was part of two of the biggest factions of the '90s. I was never a big fan of any of his single runs. He always worked in that group. Had great singles matches. I'm not saying that, but when he was out there by himself and him on the mic was awful.
Yeah, except for when he actually debuted again, because it was the day after WrestleMania, and I remember talking about Bischoff holding back his boys, and I was like, I don't know if they should be talking about them. That's a different company, isn't it? Because you never really heard of that going on at all. And that was like one of the biggest shots fired, I think, for them was getting X-Pac back, because I think that was right after the Tyson WrestleMania, so they were getting a lot more eyes. And I think it was an underrated debut with the properly rated run of kind of mediocrity. It was like his singles matches were fine, like he was good on the card, and then he eventually, I think it was after the WCW run, or when they died, he finally got the go away heat because his character did not evolve at all.
No. All right, another guy that jumped back and forth. I want to say like four times. I also went to like the NWA for a while. Jeff Jarrett, he was everywhere.
Yeah.
It's tough to chronicle him, especially when I was a kid. Started in WWF, went to WCW, wore the exact same bullshit, didn't change anything.
Stupidest.
Then goes back to WWF, and I think that's when he cut his hair. He lost his hair
to X-Pac.
To X-Pac, and then went back to WCW because Russo was over there, and they were going to give him the world title.
And they did.
It worked, I guess. And then that didn't work, so he went back to WWF, maybe. And then started TNA and booked himself as the champion over and over. Okay, I'm making fun of him a lot. I like Jeff Jarrett more than I think most people do. I think he, again, is a underappreciated talent like Big Boss Man. I thought he was great in the ring. I loved his feud with Shawn Michaels in, 94, 95 time. I thought he was good in TNA. I thought he worked really well there. Yes, of course, he booked himself as a top, but
he owned the place.
He owns the place, and they didn't really have a lot of big names other than like the few that would show up for a week or whatever. Like Ken Shamrock would show up for the first couple episodes or whatever. So he was kind of the glue that first year or two back when they were on Fox Sports 1 and had the timer and all of that stuff. But
forgot about that timer.
But boy, did he jump around a lot. That's all I know.
I guess it was God, he's one of the few who like went back and forth numerous times. He was with the Four Horsemen for a little bit, wearing his like glittery duct tape straps and stuff like that, and then he went back to WWF, lost his hair. And he had because I already had Deborah over there too.
Now was Slapnuts WCW or WWE?
That was WCW.
Yeah, and that was also Rap as Crap.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
But I really, as much as I enjoyed him in the ring, I hated his finisher. The stroke. It was like the skull crushing finale I still don't even like very much, and it was worse than that. Pretty much the same thing.
Right.
Just I'm gonna make you fall forward. And doesn't even look very forceful.
That's it.
But he won with it all the time, so I guess it was over.
Alright, let's combine these next two, because again, they were linked as Hall and Nash. Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, they come over as the Radicals along with Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn. We took only these two because they had the better singles runs. All four of those guys, though, completely underutilized in WCW. With Chris Jericho, they had created such an amazing division. Such ridiculous matches that were always the opener, which I get Bischoff's idea. he always had these guys to start the show off hot.
Yeah.
And have great wrestling. But after a while, you got to do something with him, and he just never did. For some reason, he decided to with Kidman. Or maybe that was after Bischoff left. Everything is fuzzy to me. I'm old. WWE runs. During the Attitude Era, they didn't do a ton. Benoit got pushed a lot early. He was with Shane McMahon and was put in the title picture. I think he fought The Rock at SummerSlam.
Fully loaded.
Fully loaded, thank you. Eddie Guerrero kind of moved with China, was more of a character than a wrestler at that time. And he had his own personal demons. Both of them, though, after the Attitude Era, flourished as wrestlers. We won't talk about what Benoit did later. That's not what we're focused on. But during the Attitude Era, they were fine.
Yeah, Benoit, he almost had a WCW type push in WWF, though, because he lost the IC title, then loses 3 weeks in a row on Raw, building his title match with The Rock, which... That match was really good, though, when they finally got to it. But he got kind of the backwards Jericho treatment. And he was always, let's have a good match. Let's put Benoit in there.
Yep.
I remember Eddie dislocated an elbow in a second match doing the frog splash. But they still kept him around to remember him. But his run with China was hysterical. Mm-hmm. I was like, why would he just be so in love with China? Which made it even funnier.
Mark Henry was too. That was just what people did.
Yeah.
I want to say Benoit won the title in WCW.
Yeah,
for a day, and then they said Sid's foot was under the rope.
Yeah,
they did that to try to keep Chris, and Chris went, "No, I'm leaving anyways." So they went,
belt. All right, here you go.
Craziness. A lot of crazy stuff happened in the 90s. Last one is on here. He's going to be in trouble of being in this final 12. We have one extra person on here. But I wanted to put Rick Rude on the list because out of all of these guys and lady, he was the only person to show up on both shows on the same day.
Yeah.
He had pre-taped Raw coming out with DX and then was there live on Nitro because his contract ended on Saturday or whatever. And then showed up live on Nitro. I want to say it was really close at the same time. It was fantastically done. And... that's all he did. At this point in his career, he was just a valet manager person.
He was Xbar, though. He was both NWO and DX, come to think of it.
The original DX.
Yeah. It was a crazy moment. I remember watching it, too, because we'd get Nitro first, and then I'm watching Raw later. It's wasn't he on... Okay. That's weird. Because I knew it was taped. I think they did, live and then tape the next episode on occasion. But yeah, they're quite the manager. I remember hearing he wanted to get back in the ring before he died, but he was always there. Pissed me off. And I think he couldn't take bumps either, so it's made it even worse because his neck was his back was so bad, so he'd kick everyone's ass and no one could beat him up, and he was gone. Always in his freaking beard and suit and looking cooler than everybody else.
All right. So there's our 13. Gonna put them into the top 12. And let's just start off. I think it's between two people as far as who gets cut. And that's Medusa and Rick Rude.
Yeah.
But who do you cut?
Ugh.
I cut Rick Rude. Again, neither of them really did anything during it. Medusa had the bigger moment, I think. And then she disappeared forever.
Yeah.
But she had the moment.
And Rude at the moment too. It was just unintentional. Well,
it was
intentional on WCW part.
It was honestly more of an insider moment.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that big crowd reaction because I think I didn't know it until watching that Monday Night Wars DVD. Now, oh really? Because again, I didn't watch Nitro a ton, so I didn't know. I just know he disappeared from DX.
Yeah.
So we'll put Medusa 12th.
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't even know where to start.
Oh, I know it. I don't
even know where to start.
The way the run went, I'd almost think Big Show as 11. Because it was a huge acquisition that was well known going to happen. And within a month, you could tell it was rubbish.
I'm going to put these three as what I think are the next three.
Yeah.
And that's Big Boss Man, Big Show, and Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Bret Hart obviously was the biggest acquisition Big Show had that big moment coming through the ring. I think Big Boss Man probably had the best overall run between the two. Because again, I totally forgot he went back to WWE during the Attitude Era. I thought he had went back after. I don't know why I thought that was after they shut down.
I think he's ahead of the other two.
I do too. So let's go Big Show and Bret Hart.
Yeah. Sorry, Bret.
It's not about who's the best wrestler.
Bret screwed Bret.
He did. I 100% agree with that.
Kane screwed Bret.
Yeah, let's blame Kane. Why not? Do we put Big Boss Man over Jarrett or X-Pac?
I think
not X-Pac for sure.
Yeah, because X-Pac was
he was part of DX and NWO.
Yeah,
both during their big moments. Jarrett jumped so much.
But it was like successful though. It was a big thing.
But do you put Jarrett over Eddie and Benoit?
No.
I mean, again, they weren't big
I almost think
in the Attitude Era.
No, because Jarrett, well, granted, it was probably a 9-time champion. He was at least world champion, and was booked solid compared to the other two.
Right, and I mean he's a part of the greatest match of all time, the Ready to Rumble Triple Cage match. I actually think I'm wanting to move Jarrett up higher.
Yeah.
So we put Eddie next?
I think so, just because he got hurt right off the bat, so couldn't get going.
Didn't have that big moment. Again, seeing all four of them in the crowd was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll put Benoit. We'll keep those two together. I think our top four have to be Jericho, Luger, and the Outsiders, right? Am I overrating Jericho because of what he did after?
No, because it was still a solid run, because even going up to WrestleMania 17 is about when it was done, and he had at least, I think he was in the IC title match.
Regal, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was still up there and a player.
Okay, so those are our four.
And undisputed champ by the end of the year.
So Jarrett, Boss Man, and X-Pac.
Yeah.
Boss Man, I think,
is
the bottom of those three. And then there's only one of them that won a world championship.
Yeah.
Out of these two. So let's go X-Pac and then Jarrett.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, Jarrett 5.
All right. Now the four. Nash, I think Hall's fourth.
Same.
Personnel demons really hindered him. Jericho, I think.
Yeah.
Is third.
Just between Nash and Luger is hard. Like two of the guys who aren't really known for wrestling prowess. But they definitely...
You know what? Nash, underrated.
Yeah.
As a wrestler. For being 7 feet tall and 5 feet of it is legs. That dude... obviously a lot of it goes with Bret Hart and what was able to do in the ring. But his match at Survivor Series was one of the better storytelling matches. We're going to have a list of non-traditional Survivor Series matches at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
This is near the top. But as far as this list and the biggest impact, it's so tough because they not only both had huge moments that started landmark situations. Obviously, Luger started this whole damn thing. And then Nash obviously was a big part of the start of the NWO. They both were world champions.
I want to say Nash on top because he was part of the original, but then he also branched off into the Wolfpack and led that group too. As odd as the split was, and Tomato Face Sting, we can just forget that. But that group was hot. Like Sting, Luger was part of that group too. Conan.
It was a good resurgence for that group.
That group was pretty much fire.
I will say, for the little I watched of Nitro at the time, I remember NWO becoming a thing again. I had a Wolfpack shirt, which I found funny because the longer I wore it, I realized it was an old NWO shirt that they just put red on it because the red went away, and it was white underneath. It was hilarious to me. How long did Luger go?
He never went back to WWE at all. Like he was.
No, he was done with WWE. But was he still? Was he part of the when Bischoff leaves, Russo comes in,
and then they
teamed up, and then they stripped everyone of the belts. Luger was still part of that group, right? He was part of the Millionaires
he was the total
Club.
package.
The Millionaires Club or whatever.
Yeah. I think he was even there till the end, if I remember right, or not
That's
far
impressive.
before it. Yeah. Nash was too.
But no, Nash...
They had to buy out his contract to get him back to the WWE.
Yeah, Nash was there the whole time. He won more championships. One of the better tag teams.
Yeah, I think the Outsiders helped that group a ton, and he was a big part of it. Because when they got the tag titles too, it was just they were just big.
They were so good.
Okay,
you know what? I was trying to talk myself into Luger, and then I just remembered Kevin Nash lawn darted Rey Mysterio into the side of the production truck.
Yes, he did.
So he is number one.
Yeah.
This is such a hard list because you always have to remember you're only talking about this 4-year window and not the rest of their careers. So seeing Bret Hart and Eddie in our bottom third is
odd.
Weird. But I think we did it right, and we're going to get a lot of comments. We're going to have 47 views and 97 comments, I think, on this video. And it's going to be fantastic. So again, just to run things down from top to bottom, we have Kevin Nash, Lex Luger, Chris Jericho, Scott Hall, Jeff Jarrett, X-Pac, Big Boss Man, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Bret Hart, Big Show, and Medusa as our top 12 most influential ship jumpers of the Monday Night Wars. If we missed anybody, which I don't think we missed anybody of note. I remember for this one I listed everybody that jumped. But there might be some that you thought were more influential than these 12. Let us know in the comments. I know a lot of you are probably going to disagree with our order. Go ahead, and I want to know what your top 12 were.
Steve Austin joined slightly before the All of America, if I remember right. Because obviously he'd be number one.
Oh, yeah. He was ringmaster.
Yeah.
Let's see. So he was ringmaster Rumble 96.
Yeah.
And he had been around for a little bit.
Yeah,
so
like
he was definitely before. Now I need to go double check that. If not, if it was after September of 95, then Austin, you're number one. Sorry.
Sorry, Medusa.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. Do all the other stuff. We'll be back next Wednesday with a shorter version of this episode. If you have any other ideas for lists that you want us to debate about, we're open. We have some really fun ones coming up, but we're always open for ideas. So for David, I'm Randy. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, and if you think of an ECW list, let us know, because I'm struggling.
And no, don't do the top 12 extreme moments of ECW, please. Be better than that.
Yeah.
See ya.